Hi, today is the 23rd of August, a Friday, and my name is Dane, and this is On a Map Regular Updates. Today I want to talk about the things that I'm working on, things I'm about to work on that I'm really excited about that will be coming to On a Map soon. So first up, a relatively small thing, but really potentially meaningful, is the Add Layer plugin, the Add Layer pop-up, which is the one that pops up when you click on the big round plus button in the top left-hand corner of On a Map. It currently pops up with a nice sort of grid of logos of plugins, such as iNaturalist or GBIF or Our World in Data. Now, that currently, the way that it shows the logos and the plugin names and what they contain, like for example, iNaturalist, if you choose iNaturalist, then you can add a layer of species, observations, that kind of thing. That information I've got a much nicer design that I've created. And by the way, the design software I use is called UXPin, which is really cool. I need to make the pop-up look more like the design, so the logos are treated better with the plugin names and the descriptions. That's number one. Number two is the layer contents pop-up. So this is after you've added a layer, and if that layer contains contents information, for example, iNaturalist, I'll use that. If you search for a particular species, let's say a rhinoceros, the layer contents panel pop-up contains a whole lot of information like the observers, the observations themselves, the species, all of the information that's related to that layer. And currently the layout is not very good. They're sort of in a accordion style where there's like a heading and then there's like a section and then there's a heading and a section. And within a pop-up, that's not a very helpful layout. So instead I'm going to be changing it to a sort of tabbed layout. So across the top, you'll see 3 or 4 tabs like observers, species, observations, and so on, locations. So it'll be a nice tabbed layout. That's also in the design, and so I'm going to be applying that, building it according to the design. You'll see that's a sort of common trend here. I always find that I can't do a really good job of designing something in code. I always have to design it in a design program like UXPin before I'm able to and that allows me to make it look really great and have a great user experience and be accessible and just intuitive. And I can only do that if I design it first and then I build it afterwards based on that design. I can't do it in one go. And I don't think anyone really can do a good job of designing while coding. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, moving on. Thing that I'm going to be working on, number 3, is new software, a new software that we use page. This is also a page that I've designed and it looks really cool. I'm really excited about it. Essentially what it is it's explaining the different pieces of software that On a Map is built with. So for example, it says Vue, and there's a Vue logo, and it says this is the software that, the primary framework that the site is built on. And then it says Open Layers, and it has an Open Layers logo, and it says we use Open Layers as the sort of base mapping or the core mapping functionality. And then it talks about TypeScript, and it talks about all the different pieces of software, and there's a logo for each, and it's also hierarchical. So for example, it says Vue, and then underneath Vue it's got Vite, which is like the build pipeline, the build tool, which is kind of from Vue, you could say. So that's a pretty cool page that I'll be working on, and I haven't found a great example of it anywhere else on the internet, so maybe it'll set a standard. Number 4 is making, so this is not so much about implementing the design for once. This is making a couple of new maps to go into the gallery for people to browse into, look at and explore and be inspired by. And the set of maps that I want to make next is a couple from iNaturalist. So the last couple I did a couple of days ago that you would have seen in the last update were all about GBIF. Well, this set of the next couple of maps I make are going to be from iNaturalist, and they're mostly going to be, my thinking at the moment is comparisons between things that are quite interesting. Like, for example, observations of white rhinos versus black rhinos, or observations of snow leopards, which is a really beautiful endangered species, versus perhaps Bengal tigers in the Asian subcontinent. So going to do a bunch of maps like that that contrast various observations in different colors. And I was also thinking there's a couple of other plugins that I should build that would complement that. For example, a plugin that just has the boundaries of conservation zones, like for instance, national parks. So if there's a data source of national parks, and you can add that as a plugin, and you say, I want to select, add all the national parks in green, and then you have those iNaturalist layers, then you could see which observations were seen, like of tigers, for example, within the boundaries of a national park versus outside of the boundaries of national parks. So it's a nice interaction between different layers. Lastly, once all of that is done, the next thing I'll be working on, the fifth and final thing for this list, is a new design for the homepage. So I've got this really exciting new design for the homepage. It talks about all of the plugins and what OnAMap is about, and how it's, you don't need to bring your own data. OnAMap supplies you with the data. You just need to bring your creativity. And then it talks about how to build a map, the step. It's like a simple 4-step process. You select your layers, etc., etc. It also has this really cool section of tiles of showing different types of data sources that OnAMap already provides, or not currently provides, but will be providing. And there's currently 10 tiles, and they're all nicely colorful, and you'll see it soon. So for example, the 10 are weather and climate, society, shipping and logistics, nature, satellites, economics, politics, conflicts, sales and marketing, and energy. So it's a really cool layout. There's more to it, but I'm excited to be able to make that. And of course, currently, if you've used it when this video goes out, you'll know that OnAMap is primarily an interactive, like a web app. It's really it feels like an app, and it's not really a website. It doesn't have a home page at the moment, and it doesn't have a whole bunch of other regular web pages, like static web pages. So this, I'm debating whether I want to make the static pages as part of this view site, or if I want to have two separate sites, and I have the mapping tool as like map.onamap.org, and then the homepage is just at onamap.org, or if I want to just combine them into one website / web app. If that didn't make sense to you, don't worry, you'll see however I decide to structure it, what's going to make the most sense very soon. Anyway, I hope you are looking forward to these updates as much as I'm looking forward to working on them, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.